Hello, this is James Johnson, aka Sulphurblade, and I am here the video where I would like to talk about Bethesda Interactive, ZeniMax Studios, and all the other subsidiaries of Bethesda Entertainment. So many people think of Bethesda as like the greatest developers of all time. And there's many good reasons for people to think that way. I mean, two of the simplest names that you can say in gaming make you think, oh my god, Bethesda is legendary. And those two names would be the Elder Scrolls and Fallout. But is it really true? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the stark reality of what the situation really is. Who created Fallout? Where did Fallout come from? Was it actually Bethesda? No. Who created the Elder Scrolls? That was actually Bethesda. But is it this Bethesda? Nope. So let's actually talk about the stark reality, shall we? There is a YouTube video that I strongly recommend everyone watch. Let me see if I can't find that video real quick. I should have had this prepared. I'm sorry. Elder Scrolls, A Promise Unfulfilled. It's created by a guy called Indigo Gaming. It's 1 hour and 18 minutes long, and it is a very in-depth historical analysis of the entire Elder Scrolls from start to finish, and it is masterfully done. I will put a link to that video in this one. So, Fallout 76 hasn't gone over very well, has it? There's so much stuff to be said about Fallout 76 that it's already been said. You can go to Angry Joe. He has a several hour long, multiple videos now, but you can go to Mac at Worth a Buy. You can go to all of these huge streamers, and they'll all tell you pretty much the same thing. Fallout 76 was a train wreck. It was a disaster. It was horrible. And there's lots of reasons for that. But part of the reason that it's maybe falling on its face so much is all the promises that were made. So Todd Howard really promised it up when it came to Fallout 76, and I'm rather surprised that he put his name out there and made so many wild promises, because to date he has done a very good job of not putting his name forward on the material that has been released. So Todd Howard, he's one of the master brainchilds behind Skyrim. He's also one of the master brainchilds behind Oblivion. And he most certainly is one of the master brainchilds behind Morrowind. But that, well, it goes back farther than that. He's also the master brainchild behind the Elder Scrolls Redguard. Yes, Redguard. Has anyone ever heard of that? No, many of you probably haven't heard of that. I have. I played it. And I also played Battlespire, and I played Arena, and I played Daggerfall, and I played these Elder Scrolls back from the very beginning. And if there is anything you can say about Redguard, it's that it doesn't fit. It's the worst Elder Scrolls game ever made. And it's the worst Elder Scrolls game ever made by a wide margin. Its closest competition is a pretty bad game in Battlespire, but Battlespire is head and heels over Redguard. And so then, how did Todd Howard end up kind of the keeper of the keys for Bethesda, if you will? And well, that's something you can learn in the video that I'm linking. But I'll give you kind of a real short, quick explanation. So Todd Howard, he came on rather early in Bethesda. He's probably, of all Bethesda people at Bethesda, he's probably the oldest one left. There were a lot of very talented folks before him, but Todd Howard is probably the oldest one left of the group. So where am I going with this? It's that there was a point. So Bethesda wasn't always a lucrative business. They went through a time period between Daggerfall and Morrowind where the company went broke. It was a financial train wreck. A lot of really bad things happened. The original people that founded Bethesda pretty much all got pushed out the door. And the original owner, CEO, he kind of fell on a sword to save the company. And now he's not even a part of the company, not even remotely. Him and a lawyer founded ZeniMax and several other subsidiaries to basically use it as a way to keep the business from going out of business. And through the course of that, path, the original owner actually lost control of Bethesda. He's not there anymore, and the lawyer now has the controlling shares in the company. And ever since the lawyer has been in control of the corporate reins, the developer has been very successful financially. And about the time the lawyer took control is about the time that our Todd Howard became kind of the lead programmer. And he had a very different sense of direction for how Elder Scrolls games or how Bethesda games in general should be programmed compared to his predecessor. So Julian LeFay is the guy who preceded Todd Howard as being basically the chief programmer, the man whose vision would lead the way in the company. And Julian LeFay is the vision who created Elder Scrolls. He created Arena, the very first game. He created Daggerfall, which, according, by my opinion, is the greatest Elder Scrolls game ever. And it's basically his legacy that Todd Howard has basically taken on the reins for. Todd Howard came into this at kind of the tail end of Daggerfall. There were lots and lots and lots of turnover in the very tiny company that was Bethesda at the time of Daggerfall and before. Daggerfall was created with Julian LeFay and basically an assistant, and the various different assistant programmers they got rotated through in that they weren't able to maintain working for Bethesda, because evidently working for Bethesda at that time wasn't a very pleasurable experience. It was a lot of hard work, many hours, and not the greatest pay. And these guys ended up going to other companies that would pay them more and treat them better. And so Julian LeFay never had a consistent other programmer by his side to create Daggerfall with, and Todd Howard actually came in at the end. Todd Howard joined Bethesda not as a programmer, but completely different. But he kept wanting to be a programmer, and at some point, I guess Julian LeFay went to bats for Todd and got him onto the programming side of the house that he wanted to do. And so Todd Howard was there at a very small period of time at the end of Daggerfall, working side by side with Julian LeFay. And then after Daggerfall, Todd spearheaded the game known as Elder Scrolls Redguard, and Julian LeFay transitioned into the game known as Battlespire, and both were kind of flops. But Battlespire was far better than Todd Howard's game. That's not to say Todd Howard is a bad programmer. He's just a very, very different programmer than Julian LeFay. Todd Howard believes that he believes in making things linear, making things as much on rails as you can to create a theme park around the player. And when he's making something, it's made in such a way that the player is likely to experience the content that he puts in place for the player. And so for the story to pan out properly, the player kind of needs to go through the right set of dominoes to make that happen. And that's a very hard thing to do, because players will always try to find a way to get off of the rail. And Todd Howard has done that with Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind. He's done that quite well, but I digress. So where am I going? What does this have to do with Fallout 76? What this has to do with Fallout 76 is that Bethesda is not the Bethesda that you think it is. Bethesda is a very different company. It has been the evil corporate greedy company that it is being portrayed as for quite some time now. The legendary games that Bethesda has been riding the coattails of, Daggerfall being one of them, and Fallout being the other, nobody at Bethesda is really even remotely even responsible for them originally. They are just slowly trashing the IPs and the popularity that has been built up before their inclusion into this story. And while they're trashing it, they're making money. They're making lots of money. And that is the goal of Bethesda. Bethesda is here to make money. They converted over. They've been putting stuff onto consoles for a long time now. Oblivion didn't change much from Morrowind to facilitate the ability to easily put it onto the consoles so that they could expand the people playing their game as much as possible so that they could make as much money as possible. They have made the games simpler. They go with an idea of keep it simple, stupid, and they believe that they need to take out as many systems as they can to streamline these games, and they think that that is a good thing. Why is that a good thing for them is because it makes the game more generalized. It makes it simpler. It makes it more streamlined. It makes it easier for a larger cross-section of the population to play, i.e. they're catering to casuals. They're making their game more casual. They've been doing that for a long time now. But the funny thing is that what made these games legendary are their original incarnations. Fallout and Daggerfall were not casual games. They were complex. They were deep. They were rich. They were everything that Todd Howard and a lot of the folks at Bethesda stand against. They were sandboxes. Julian LeFay's concept of a sandbox, what he was trying to do with Daggerfall was to actually replicate a GM in a tabletop role-playing game. He basically said to himself, what makes tabletop role-playing so much better than role-playing games on computers? And that's that the game master, the GM, the dungeon master, the DM, whoever it is running the game can adapt to the crazy things that humans do. And that was his goal with Daggerfall. That was his goal, his programming design. He wanted to make a game that could adapt to the player as frequently as possible so that the player could do whatever it wanted. He was very much the polar opposite of Todd Howard, who is very linear and wants the player to go and experience the content that he put in. For Julian LeFay, he wanted the player to do whatever he wanted, but to give him the tools to have fun, to create a huge open world sandbox filled with a palette and tools to make it enjoyable based off of the imagination of the player. Very, very different. The two are so much polar opposites in their game design. It's not even funny. And people don't realize just how much the Elder Scrolls franchise has changed over the years. And that is because Bethesda has completely changed over the years. Fallout and Daggerfall were created by small programming companies that wanted to make their magnum opus, wanted to make the greatest game ever made. They wanted to make a game of immense enjoyability. Not to make money, but to do. Because they want people to have fun playing their game. Since then, they created legendary IPs. Fallout, huge. So many people love Fallout. Daggerfall, huge. So many people love the Elder Scrolls that when you start with the Empire State Building and you take a glider ride off of the top of it, you're going to go a long way before you hit the ground. Well, that's what Bethesda's been doing, is they've been gliding on the popularity of amazing games made with amazing passion. And they've been turning these amazing games made with amazing passion into lesser versions of those games that are as available to the largest group of people as possible to facilitate the making of money. So, when you're a gamer screaming about Fallout 76, that shouldn't come as a shock to you. When you're a gamer screaming about how horrible Fallout 4 was, really shouldn't come to a shock to you. When you're a gamer complaining about, oh my god, Bethesda is the evil corporate minions like EA, that also shouldn't come to a shock to you. Bethesda changed a long time ago. They've been changing in front of our eyes for a long time. And we've been giving them the stamp of approval with games of the year. Skyrim was one of the biggest selling games ever. You can't get a bigger stamp of approval that they're doing things right than Skyrim. But Skyrim was not better than Daggerfall. Skyrim was not the right direction from Daggerfall. Skyrim is half the game that Daggerfall ever was. It's funny. If I don't know how many people are going to agree with me or how many people are going to think I'm nuts, but you can take people by age, gamers. If they're around 40 years old, ask them what the greatest Elder Scroll game is, they'll tell you it was Daggerfall. Around 30, they'll tell you it was Morrowind. The older the Elder Scrolls game is, the better it is, according to people. But they're still good games. So when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, I'm going to buy it. Sadly. Because it's an Elder Scrolls game. And, I bought Skyrim. It was a good game. I enjoyed playing it. I played it for a lot of hours. Was it better than Oblivion and Morrowind? No. Was it better than Daggerfall? Not even remote. Was it a great game? Yes. But that's the trend. That's the trend that's always been happening in front of our eyes. The games have always been going downhill, but we don't care because the games have always been good enough. Well, now, they're not. Fallout 76 is crap. It's not good enough. Fallout 4 was marginal. It's not good enough. They have continued their downward trend, and now we've reached the point to where people are starting to say, WTF. What the fuck? But this hasn't been a new trend. This has been a trend that's been going on for a long time. And that's the point of this conversation, of this video. The reason that I'm making this video isn't to bash on Bethesda. they're doing things right to make money. They're a company, that's their job. Isn't to bash on Todd Howard. Todd Howard has done an amazing job making his company money. He's really good at his job. Um, it's more or less to bash on us, the players. At some point, or it's just happened gradually. It's happened very gradually that gamers are more accepting of lesser quality games. I was recently looking at an old game online called uh, Imperium Galactica. It was driving me nuts why I couldn't remember the name of that game. And it's this old space game, right? I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about he doesn't think that I like space games, and I like a lot of space games. And he's like, well, you don't seem that way, and he's basing that off of my kind of disdain towards Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen and games similar to that, like X4 or yeah, or even Eve. I played quite a bit of Eve, but I'm tired of those games. I'm tired of travel simulators in space. I I want fun, not travel, not jumping through gates, not pretty graphics. Ooh, yay, I can dock. Ooh, yay, I can talk to this NPC over here. I mean, the concept behind Star Citizen is just an amazing concept, but would it really be fun? I don't think it would. I mean, you take X4, you look at X4. X4 is doing everything that Star Citizen ever wanted to do. You can get into a fighter, fly it into the bay of a bigger ship, get out of the fighter, walk through that ship, get into the control of that bigger ship, fly that into a carrier, get out of that ship, go into the control cockpit of the carrier, take over the carrier, and fly that. That's if you think back to what Star Citizen wanted to become, that's what it wanted to become. It wanted to be able to do that, and now it's morphed into everything else in the kitchen sink. But I don't find that enjoyable. It's neat. Don't get me wrong. It's incredibly impressive. It's impressive that they can do that with a game, but is it fun? Verdict is still out on that for me. I have far more fun playing Imperium Galactica back in 1997 with horrible graphics, an actual story, and imagination. The game industry, for every improvement it makes in technology, it seems to forget how to have fun. And so I really relish when indie gamers, when indie developers, when the small guys come out with something great, because it's those times that we're desperate to be able to play something that's worth playing, worth thinking about. There's very few developers that I really can even say anything good about anymore, with Paradox being one of the few exceptions. And I think that's just because of the way Paradox does business. They put these people in charge of their games, like Martin Anward for Stellaris and DDR Jake, who's now taking control of Europa Universalis, and so you've got these passionate developers there that enjoy playing their games, and they want to make their games more fun, and they keep doing that through the releasing of DLCs. And it's not just to make money. Of course they're trying to make money, but they want to make their games better. They want to make their games more fun to play, and you can see the passion that they put into these things. That's what the game industry needs, is passion to make the game more fun Who cares if we're making money? And that's not what the big guys are doing. The big guys are trying to make something that's stomachable, that they can feed to the masses, and then forget about it. That is the AAA industry of today. And it's sad that, the AAA guys are the ones that have the money, the resources, the wherewithal to do something amazing, but they don't. But anyway, I could talk about this over and over again and go in circles until the sky turns. It's early in the morning where I am right now, and I could talk about this till it gets dark out. It's just the sad nature of the game industry that we're in. But I always get a laugh, a chuckle, a kick out of people that seem like they've been blindsided by what happened with Fallout 76. And this is not a blindside. We've seen this coming. Just most people haven't seen the writing on the wall. So I wish that there would be a gamers revolution. I wish gamers would just stand together and vote with their wallets and stop buying stuff from Bethesda. What a message that would deliver to Bethesda when they release Elder Scrolls 6 and nobody buys it. And when they ask why, it's because you keep dumbing down the games. You keep making the games worse just to make money. We know what you've been doing. We know that you're just trying to make money. We know that you don't care about making the best game possible. But yet we're sheep. We keep buying. We keep buying. We keep buying. We need to stop being sheep, folks. We need to take a stand. And my last thing I'm going to say is the best Elder Scrolls game that's being worked on right now is Daggerfall Unity. You guys haven't heard of Daggerfall Unity? Go check it out. There's moderators who are working, these not moderators, but mods, that have taken Daggerfall, that's now freeware because of its age, and they're not being paid for this. They're just transforming Daggerfall from what it was and putting it into the newer Unity engine to give it a facelift and adding some more detail and missions and stuff to it to make it more stable. And it's amazing. It's great. It is the best Elder Scrolls game under development at this point in time, bar none. I don't care how good Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, it will not be better than Daggerfall. Just won't. So go check out Daggerfall Unity. If you've never heard of Daggerfall, if you're of the 30 and under generation that doesn't know what Elder Scrolls really is, go check it out. Yeah, guys. This is nothing new, and I'm just gonna cut it short because I've made my point, and there's not really any more to say. I will leave the link to that amazing video by Indigo about the unfulfilled promises from Bethesda, and I'll also put a link to Daggerfall Unity. So check those things out. Anyway, that's it for me, James Johnson, aka Sulfurblade, and peace, guys. Have a great day.